Welcome back to Niagara Amusement Park and Splashworld in Grand Island, New York. This park has seen a lot of changes this year. Notice way in the distance, that's the main route to get here, and there is no sign currently outside the park. They're supposed to be pretty soon, but if you come to this park, don't expect to see a big sign guiding you to it. Just look for that big strip mall across the street, and it's opposite that. In the parking lot, there are still lots of rides waiting to be assembled. It appears that the Schwarzkopf shuttle loop that was going to go here is now due to go to Indiana Beach, which is also owned by the same company, IBC Enterprises. But they do have a new giant Larson looping ride there. It's their like fireball ride. It's massive, and that is scheduled to be reassembled in the park. That was new in the parking lot this year. And there are still quite a few more rides that are due to be assembled. So there's still a lot of progress to be made in the park, but this year a lot more was open than last time we were here, and I'm very happy to show it to you. So let's take a step inside the gates here and start our tour. We'll begin at the entrance plaza here, and the park is very spread out, and we're going to sort of do a counterclockwise run of the park here. Over on the right is the Iron Horse train, which this year does do a stop at the west end of the park. So it is a viable transportation device now in the park, which is good. Last year it only made a single circuit all the way around and back. Over in the middle is the park's pretty little carousel, set in its own little garden area. And we're going to move northward on this midway, and then we're going to head west. In front of us is the Kittyland Cafe, which has some nice snacks for kids like pizza, things like that, and fries. If we were to follow this path, you could, in fact, cut through and bypass Kittyland, or you could go further to the west there and cut through where the western town is, but we're going to go this way. This is a pretty big Kittyland that's spread out. Over on the right here, we have a miniature golf course, which is quite nice. And they have a lot of really nice, colorful rides for kids. The midway looks a little empty right now, but that's because I was doing this early in the day, and later on the park began filling up with people, which is good to see. The park began in 1961 as Fantasy Island and was divided into 5 themed areas, and it really was one of the early theme parks. It started off at only 12 acres, gradually expanded to 85 acres, and in 1982 the park was sold to Charlie Wood, the man who owned Storytown USA, eventually The Great Escape, up in Queensbury, New York, and he put his own touch on the park at that point. In 1989, Wood sold it to the International Broadcasting Corporation, and they didn't do so well with that, so Wood bought the park back in 1992. Wood changed the name to Two Flags Over Niagara, and only had it for 2 years, and then sold it to showman Martin DiPietro, who changed it back to Fantasy Island, this time calling it Martin's Fantasy Island. And he had it until 2016, when he sold it to Apex Parks, and Apex Parks ran it into the ground and shut the park down, and the park was an absolute mess at that point, and it looked like it was going to be gone for good. And then in stepped Gene Staples, who had just bought Indiana Beach, which also was an Apex Park, and he saved it. And the park was in absolutely horrible shape. It had been vandalized and all the rides were gone except for the roller coaster. And it's amazing that his crew has made so much progress at this park in such a short time. It's actually a nice family park now. There are lots of these little buildings left over from the Charlie Wood days and the Fantasy Island days. And I saw a lot of kids having fun in these, running in and out as the day went on. So this is the other extension of Kiddyland up in this area. This is a kiddie train that was being worked on. This pedestal used to hold a Jack and the Beanstalk statue. And over here on the left, there's a stage that has a little pirate show that goes on during the day for the kids. And over there in front of us is the carousel that we saw at the beginning. The yellow and white building that you can see over there used to be for birthday parties, and now it's used as guest services. So if you have any questions that you have about the park, that's where you would go. There's a nice Herschel autocar ride, a nice drop tower, and a swing ride. So there's plenty for the small fry to do just in this area of the park alone. And over in the distance there would be the entrance to the Western Town area. And we're going to walk down here across the bridge and head toward the west end of the park. That massive trestle that you see is for the Iron Horse train. And notice that they have a lot of picnic pavilions here too. So if you have an outing you want to have, you can certainly, there's plenty of room to have it there. On the left used to be the pond around the Indian Island where you could take canoe rides, and that's now just left to be a natural pond. They're not using it for anything at this point. Maybe at some point they could have paddle boats here or something like that, or swan boats. Up ahead on the right is another entrance to the park, and it is for the KOA campground that abuts the park on that side. And if you are staying at the KOA campground, you can get tickets to the park, and you can get in at that entrance. You actually board the Iron Horse train, and the train conductor will take your ticket and then formally bring you into the park. And here comes the train. And in front of us now is the park's calling card, the Silver Comet. Really amazing wood coaster built in 1999 by Custom Coasters. And it's all steel structure, wood track. And it is one of the most intense family coasters I've ever ridden. It has really sharp laterals, a lot of good pops of airtime. It's remarkably fast, really twisted, unpredictable layout, and a great addition to this park. You can also see Kraken there, which is a new addition to the park, and to the left of it is Midway Mayhem, which is a Hush Giant Frisbee ride, and both of those were still in progress, but they will definitely be open for next season. And there goes the Silver Comet. And this little building here houses the tiniest bumper car ride I've ever seen. This building is an arcade, which was still in progress, and next to it is the I Got It game, which was open. There's Galaxy of Games, which was all open, and that was good to see. You can also see the Sea Dragon over there, the pirate ship, and that was working. Nice juggling skills. And here is the ride I was most excited for. It is finally all together and working. They still have a lot of work to do on it, and the head of maintenance said she's making it her job to get this thing all complete for next season. This is the legendary Flying Witch Dark Ride from Rye Playland in New York. And they basically got this ride in a big jumbled pile and had to figure out how to put it all together. And it's looking really good. The facade is absolutely amazing. It was painted by a guy known as The Wizard, who passed away a few years ago, unfortunately. But it's pretty stunning artwork. I love the animatronics on the outside. And it's huge. It's a 3-story dark ride and has lots and lots of room in there for additional stunts and effects. They have a lot of them working and a lot more that they're going to be putting in there. So it's a work in progress, and it'll be fun to keep track of this from year to year to come back and see how it's progressing. But I was really glad it was running. I took, I don't know, a dozen rides through it when I was there. It's a lot of fun. And it's nothing too scary for kids. It's not really gory. It's not really shocking. It's just a nice, old, traditional fun house. Now, those of you who remember my previous video about this, you couldn't go down here. This was all blocked off. So this area is now all functional, and there's still, again, a lot of work they're doing in here to keep adding more stuff. Around the corner here is the entrance to the West Station for the Iron Horse train. So you can see the train going off there. You can actually pick up the train over here and take it back to the front of the park if you want. This over here in front of us is a rare Caterpillar ride. It's sort of like a Music Express or a Matterhorn ride, but themed to caterpillars. So visually it's kid friendly, and it has a lot of excitement for those who are into the spin and barf rides. And when we were there, it was still a work in progress, but again, it'll be ready for next season. And in the distance you can see a tilt-a-whirl, and that was functional. And now we're coming to the far west end of the park. On our right is a good old Dippin' Dot stand. Again, it shouldn't be here because it's the ice cream of the future, but there it is. This is an arena that wasn't being used currently, but I assume they do have plans to use it. There you can see the back end of the Silver Comet. Notice that the little keep out sign has IB Crow, the mascot of Indiana Beach. On the left is a food stand that wasn't open when we were there. And over here is their huge antique car ride. And that was running. And it's a really nice, pleasant drive. It's interesting that it's so wide open like this. It's always been that way. In the old Fantasy Island days, it was like that as well. And I assume this will get improvements as time goes on. You know, could use a nice little tunnel at some point, or some, statues and some more plantings around there, but I'm sure that will come along. I'm just really glad they got it running. They had 2 cars running on it when we were there. And then in the back there is the giant wheel, and that was running, and that gives you incredible views of the park and the surrounding area. And on the left here is Serpent, which is a galaxy coaster. And it is incredibly smooth. Smoothest galaxy coaster I've ever ridden. Really nice ride. They only had 1 train running on it, or I should say 1 car running on it. But it ran really well. And this is pretty exciting. This will be coming in the future. This is a Condor ride, which is a massive spinning tower ride made by Huss. This used to be at Hershey Park, and they've been storing it here, and they're getting ready to assemble it. Originally, they wanted it out toward the left of the Ferris wheel so that you could see it from the highway, but the ground there is so soggy, it's very marshy, and they wouldn't be able to get deep enough footers in order to hold the weight of the ride. So they're going to put it over in this area where they used to have a big swing ride. All right, so let's head back now. So we're heading east, and here's a flying scooter ride. This used to be up by the Silver Comet, and they relocated it here. And this was still in the process of being reassembled. The park has a very small crew, and it's just remarkable what they've been able to do with the small amount of people they have. And way in the back, there are some more picnic pavilions there. Those are currently being used to store rides that are coming. So that's not really being used for picnics right now. It's mainly just a storage area. I'm really impressed that they got most of the pavement straightened out too, because the pavement here was in really bad shape when Apex left, and they managed to clean up a lot of it and patch it. And one of the rides in there is a kiddie coaster that they'll be reassembling hopefully for next year, and that will give them 3 roller coasters in the park, which is a good start. And there's another picnic pavilion, and to the left of it is the entrance to Splashworld, which is the big water park that they have. And the water park is very popular. And it's got the usual, lazy river, it's got the slides, it's got the wave pool. It's not too often that you get to follow the progress of a park like this. And I've been coming here since the old Martin's Fantasy Island days, and it's been really fascinating to see how it's changed under different owners, and to see it completely disintegrate under the last owners, which was really heartbreaking, and now to see it coming back again, and to see how people really do enjoy it here. So it's an exciting time to be at Niagara. Now here, Boppers, they have a sort of brand that they're putting on this called Foodini, and this concession stand, believe it or not, has, dun dun dun, cheese on a stick. And it is really good. They're huge. And they're exactly the type of cheese on a stick I like. The big cornbread, deep fried, with melted cheese in the middle. It is absolutely delicious. Karen and I each had one, and it was a meal in itself. And they also have pizza in a cone. I've never heard of that before, but it's an ice cream cone with a pizza in it. And I hear it's really good. I didn't have one because the cheese on a stick was plenty for me at that point, but I hear it's really good. There goes the sea dragon. And we're back at the Galaxy of Games, and we'll steer a little bit to the right here. There were actually only a few areas of the park that had music playing in the background, and it's all country western, and of course it's copyrighted, so I'm hoping I can get by with this one, but we'll see. So out there was a bridge that went out to the parking lot in Splashworld. That's blocked off now, so you don't go out that way. Instead, you go over this way, and that takes you down into the Western Town section. And I have to say that they're doing a really good job training the employees. They were all exceptionally friendly and helpful. No matter if it was a food worker or the grounds crew or anyone that you met was just very friendly and just really nice. It made you feel very welcome. I did get to meet Gene Staples, the guy who saved Indiana Beach and Clementon and this park. He happened to be at the park that day, so I talked with him and Dana, who is the general manager, and they were also very nice and very friendly, and I wish them so much success with this park. I really do like it, and I think in a few years it's going to be a real big attraction in this area. So there's the pond and where the Indian Island used to be. And over here is a scrambler. And this is now entering the formal Western Town area. In front of us is Sluice, where you can pan for gold. And in front of us now is Miss Kitty's, which is the park's gift shop. And this year they had 25th anniversary pins for the Silver Comet, and they were very nice, so I got some of those. And they also have the usual t-shirts and sweatshirts and hats. And it's pretty funny, the attendants who work this store are in character. So when I first entered, the girl behind the counter goes, "Well, hi there, partner. How you doing?" I was like, "Oh, great. How are you?" This over here is the barbecue barn, and they have basically your barbecue food and baked beans and really good macaroni and cheese and amazing cornbread. And in this area is where every day, a couple times a day, there's a gunfight that takes place, and they rope it off, and you can watch these gunslingers fight out and get rid of the baddies. It's a lot of fun. There's the jail. And across the street is the Golden Nugget, and that has really good ice cream. And there's also the general store, which has a lot of sweets. That actually has become the sweet shop. And when we go through here and pass back to the entrance, on the right is a place that's still called Sweet Shop, but actually they're selling coffee now. So, this brings us to mushroom coffee. This brings us, hi Karen, this brings us back to the entrance of Niagara Amusement Park. So if you're going to Niagara Falls, or if you're anywhere in the Buffalo area, it's really worth it to stop here at Niagara Amusement Park. It's a work in progress, but it's really charming. And in my opinion, the Silver Comet and the Flying Witch are 2 reasons alone just to stop here. So, partner, hitch yourself a ride to Niagara Amusement Park and Splashworld in Grand Island, New York.